The last stage of healing from a narcissistic parent is not the no contact, it is the beginning. Going no contact is basically the beginning of actually choosing yourself and say, hey, F you, I'm choosing myself. I no longer want to deal with you or the way you work with me, your negative patterns, everything, your boxes, your limitations on my life, and the projections. It's like throwing a big middle finger to the air and just basically saying, F you, I choose myself, I walk away. I will no longer deal with this ish, but it's not the final act, it's not the final chapter, it's not the final stage. Now contact is the beginning of getting back to yourself because you can finally live on your own and start making your own rules, and start giving yourself grace and time to heal what you couldn't while you were living with these people. But the final act for me is when you no longer fit on the subconscious patterns and the programs and the boxes and the projections they put on you, is when you have completely broken out of all those things that you learn to carry within you. Like the final no contact basically is when your mom or dad do not live inside of you as those little voices criticizing your life and those patterns that do not help you anymore. The final act of no contact, the final act of basically like breaking out of their system, is when you no longer fit them inside of you. Because whether we like it or not, our inner critics are their voices. Our perception of things a lot of times is based on what they teach us through time. Like, for example, I remember when I was a kid and an alarm went off. So I remember when I was a kid and I had a fun time, and I was alone. I was maybe watching like DVDs or like just doing my thing, having fun. And I was hearing that they were coming, and for some reason, they were just stopping my fun. They were just, I, I immediately was going into like serious mode more than I should. And a lot of times there was this thing of like, why you didn't do this, typical narcissistic part, right? Like, why you didn't do this, like, like ruining your fun. And so this is a pattern that kept going on a lot in my life. And I always thought that, fun is just something that does not last long and something that can really be caught. So, how to say this? It can be cut just so violently and just so suddenly, that it just terrifies you. And I always thought that, now we're happy and fun and chill, and that something will happen. There's just this thing that just from personal experience I learned to have inside of me because of how things turned out growing up with narcissistic parents. But it does not mean that that is the truth. It does not mean it is the truth and the trajectory of how things will go in my life. That is what goes on when I used to live with these people. It does not mean that that's how life goes when I live with myself or other people or just generally living my life. Like that is not how things go. Not at all. And another example, my mother always hated people who cursed. Um, they thought like you look bad, you look nasty right now, you know, like you look like you're not sophisticated or educated enough. And when I was cursing, I always had to stop myself when I was in a home, or they were like very irregular times which I did that. Like very, very not usual for me. And one thing I started doing once I wasn't I went once I was no longer at my home with her, living with her, I started cursing. And I love cursing because I'm free. I can do and say whatever I want. And also like speaking loud. It was something that I've learned to have as like the balancer and the mediator in a room. Like I had to get the balance, so a lot of times I had to be zen myself, and I wasn't like yelling as much as other people did. And when I was no longer at my home, I started yelling much more. Like I start expressing my anger without fear. And that was basically me telling her F off, you know, like you don't control me or my life. I control my life. So I don't care what you said. I'm not going to follow your rules because this is my home. I follow myself. And yeah, pretty much that's it. Like, going to contact is not the final act. Getting rid of everything these people taught you about yourself and life is. And you own to yourself to be happy, you own to yourself to be joyful, you own to yourself to have beautiful voices out of your head. You own to yourself to not have critics, but to also have voices who uplift you and boost you and just clap for you. Like, enough with the judgment, bro. Like, we are going to die one day, and this life is so small. And as a person who has had 2 or 3 times near death experience, and one that was really traumatic and basically changed me for life, life is so fucking small, and all this shit is just so meaningless. What these people think, and if these people ever loved you when they never really truly ever loved themselves, and I don't think they ever will. um and the reason a lot of times they hated us or projected onto us it was because they wanted us to give them everything and love them, and the love we were giving them, it wasn't enough, because you can never truly feel the love if you don't have any inside of you, or if you don't love yourself. Like, how can you have a happy life when you constantly judge and hate yourself? There's no such thing as having a good life when you hate your guts. And I know it because I've been there. I used to be a person that I hated my own guts for so long, so much that I was self-destroying myself for years, because that's all I learned. But anyway, that was also a way of me, feeling like I was in control by sabotaging myself. But yeah, we deserve to have a happy life. We deserve to be as happy as we can be. We deserve to be as creative as we can be, and just enjoy this life, because life is small. To feed on to these people's inner demons that never truly were us, that never truly were ours. Like, I don't want to own up to your shit. That's your shit. I don't want to deal with that because it's not mine. It does not need fixing, and I'm just done. I'm just done. Um, fitting off the inner critic, fitting off those patterns and those programs inside of me. Just really done. Like, They saved me and, made me survive some things, but I can no longer carry them from here till, yeah, can I carry them from here now on because they will not help me on my journey anymore. Maybe they did in the past. Yes, maybe they kept me safe. But now they just are not what I want. And it's not that it's not what I'm in tune with anymore. Like, I don't judge myself as I used to judge myself. Like this constant hate of myself, I'm not gonna say like, oh, I'm so perfect and all that, but there were times which the voice inside my head is just so generous and so kind that I'm like, whoa, like a lot of times, no, I wrote this one thing in Leo Moon, in Leo full moon, and just like one or 2 days before, and I'm a Leo moon person, so this actually happened in my 8th house. The alarm again. It was really powerful for me. Not at all so bad. And I remember like writing down things, and I wrote like, I am the biggest masterpiece of my world, that God created, for me. It was never everything else. Not to say that it's bad. Like I love to love people, and I had people who just I remember beautiful things no matter what went down. But it's like, yeah, I feel just so good about myself, and I was just so happy because it's like, damn, like I don't longer see myself as like I'm a piece of shit, and I actually like the fact that when I recently spoke to my so-called mother, because I have a lot of ankle issues going on with her. She said, "Are you proud of yourself? Like you do nothing. You sit at your house and whatever. I'm done with basically a lot of things." I was like, "Yes, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself because I don't regret anything that I did, and I'm proud of myself because I'm in a place mentally, spiritually, emotionally in my life that past me and old me could only pray for." And there was this quote that I saw on my Pinterest, which was really, really just so on point, which was like, do not forget to say thank you for the things that you pray for that you now have. And, you used to pray for. And I was like, damn, you're so right. Like, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, I am at the place in my life that I've never been, and I felt so hard to be here. I felt some really, really deep, big battles. I'm not saying that I don't have things I struggle with. I have things that I struggle with, but I pray to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally here, and I am. So I'm proud of myself because I don't know a person in my life who've been through what I've been through, and they still carry their light so brightly inside of them. And they took all their darkness and they just alchemized it into something good. I don't know a person in my life personally outside of mentors and coaches that I've learned along the way. So that I am proud of myself. I am proud of myself because I have become my own friend. And that's what I needed. That's what I prayed for. I remember after my ayahuasca ceremony, I was praying to Jesus, and I was writing down prayers to God and universe, and I was saying that I want to plant seeds of self love. I want to finally love myself and accept myself. I don't want to fight anymore. My my last ceremony at ayahuasca was just so intense. I was fighting with my shadow, with basically everything that I felt like everything that I was ashamed of myself and felt like I needed to hide and I needed to be, really scared of for myself. Um, and so, after that, which this whole session changed me forever. But yeah, I was doing a lot of prayers on like, God, like, please help me. I really want to start finally loving myself. I want to finally start, like I don't want to fight with myself anymore. I'm just so tired of fighting myself. Cause what's the point in fighting myself? I'm in misery fighting myself. And after like 2, 3 years, I'm mentally, emotionally, spiritually here. And I prayed for it. Like I have the records, which I wrote that. And that was like 3 years ago. Um, and I'm proud because that is everything a person could ask for. And a lot of people think, no, money is everything and that is everything. I love money. Don't get it twisted. I love money. I love money. I'm a girl rising with compromise. I love money. And I have a really great relationship with money that I used to have. But that does not mean that money can ever buy you calmness and balance inside of you. That's not what money can buy. Money is a tool to help you get there, but it cannot take you there. You have to take yourself there. You have to work hard. Um, so that was like personal work. Work with other people, but most of the time, work with other people can like 30-40% help you. All the other thing is your thing because it's your choice. You want to change a pattern? Well, you gotta show up for the change of the pattern. Otherwise, it won't change. So it's like that basically. Everything in life is like that. But that is great. But if you're not prepared on the inside, you cannot bring it into life. Everything you want. And a lot of times you have to be prepared because if you do not love, you cannot create the happiness you want no matter what. Like, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the fame in the world, but if you do not truly love yourself, you're going to harm yourself or maybe other people. So yeah, like, and sometimes being prepared is having a stable base, and sometimes that is feeling safe in your body, not down yourself, and trusting your intuition. And how do I know this? I had to have a whole near-death experience to understand that I should have listened to my gut, to understand the size of the universe, that there were just so many signs that I just didn't want to listen. And generally, there were just so many things telling me not to do this, not to go there, ha ha, but I wanted to go there. So shit hit the fan. And I felt the most safest. I doubted myself. I didn't listen. So I had to learn and find the hard way. But I am the type of person that no matter what happens to me, I'll alchemize it into power and good. So out of this situation, what I've learned, and I'm still learning, is how to ground myself, how to learn the true raw safety that nobody ever teach me, basically. So that's what I'm learning, and to trust my intuition, my voice. And that's something that really was at high peak around August. But I still listen to my intuition and let it, and it's just Sometimes with intuition, it's just an experiment if you're still trying to find the right voice of your intuition. So a lot of times it's an experiment for me, but it is a good thing because I learned slowly but surely how to again trust my voice and myself. And intuition is very important because intuition basically is an instinct. And when you get into panic mode, intuition is what you can, what can really help you, like in survival mode. That's when all those psychic gifts start to really come to the front. And, the gut feeling is the intuitive feeling sometimes. Um, there's a whole research saying that the gut knows. Like, it kind of like knows the timelines. And that's why we feel certain things before they happen. So yeah, but I don't know, like for me, what I personally understood is like if you do not have a strong base within yourself, people can destroy you easily. Because if you do not know yourself and your limits, people can play with them. They can destroy you, you know. But the power for you, I guess, the power is to know how you can destroy yourself and how you can save yourself. So when you know both of these things, you have nothing to be afraid of because that's why ancients said, know thyself. You have to know yourself in order to understand your power and your weaknesses. I've already said that, but and it's getting long. My ADHD self needs to chill. But yeah, you have to know yourself, and once you know yourself, you finally come to a point of the shame in yourself, because it's like whatever, yes, I did that back then, or yes, I'm weak there, hit me. We're human, we're both human, we both bleed, and I know your weaknesses also, so if you hit me there, I can hit you there. It's just so stupid to do that. But when you know who you are, you're not ashamed, you're not afraid. So it's not the same, you know um yeah. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, I guess. I started talking about one thing. I was just so sure that it's going to take so little, but I was wrong because I'm not that type of person. It's going to take long. I have Mercury in Sagittarius. It's going to take long. Yeah, what's up? But I hope this TED Talk really resonated or helped, or just planted a seed. A lot of times I just open this camera like food for thought. Hey, what's up? Or hey, just saw this thing from a different perspective, and hey, things in life makes more sense now. Or hey, from my personal experience, that's what I realized. Yeah. So you take what resonates and live what doesn't. Love you. Sending my love. Bye.